So lately I've been starting these videos with a little skit or a joke or a meme, but this week's top story is that almost 800 people have lost their jobs. And there's nothing funny about that. Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. Today's big topic will revolve around the massive layoffs that have happened at Activision Blizzard this week, what these mean for the future of Diablo, and we'll also cover a few minor stories, particularly about action RPGs. As always, timestamps can be found in the video description. But before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring the sub-notification bell to be alerted of new Saturday episodes. So first off, following up from last week's story about Apex Legends, which just launched out of nowhere to huge success, well, that success has not come crashing down. It has continued to rise. EA reported that at its peak, we saw 2 million concurrent players, and that overall 25+ million people have tried the game. All of that within the game's first week. Now, I personally haven't had a chance to try out Apex Legends yet, but for those who have, how is it, and is it something that you'd like to see me cover? Sound off in the comments. On to some Path of Exile news. February 19th is when we will get the reveal of patch 3.6.0. We're just a few days away, and in the meantime, we get this preview of a new hideout, the Alpine hideout. We also got a firm date, March 8th, for the launch of the new league on PC. That'll be March 11th on Xbox One, with a PS4 mid-March launch considered to be likely. Hopefully it won't get delayed some more. On the front of Torchlight Frontiers, we have closed Alpha 3 coming up on March 5th. It's still invite only. However, this time there will be no NDA. People are allowed to stream, record, share footage. So we're about to find out a lot more about this game coming up in March. All right, on to today's top story. Late last week, the story broke that on Tuesday, Activision Blizzard would be announcing mass layoffs in the hundreds. This would be on the same day as Activision Blizzard's fourth quarter 2018 financial results conference call. Rumors of downsizing had been swirling since November, but nothing as concrete as the Bloomberg article posted last Friday. So on that fateful Tuesday, Activision Blizzard employees went into work wondering, am I gonna have a job by the end of the day? There was no forewarning, no prior communication. They had to find out through rumors posted on the internet at the same time as the rest of us that they might be out of a job. And the day started off relatively normally until afternoon when the layoffs started to be doled out. During its earnings call that afternoon, the company said that they were letting go of 8% of their staff, of roughly 9,600 people, meaning that nearly 800 people across Activision, Blizzard, and King, makers of Candy Crush, were being let go. And the apparent irony here is that Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick opened the conference call with the line, "We once again achieved record results in 2018. Now, some outlets are falsely reporting that there was record-setting profits made. That's not the case. It's record revenue, not profit. Revenue is how much money you made, profit is how much is left over after your expenses. So obviously in a call where your intent is to reassure shareholders and get them to not sell their stock, without lying, you're going to present the truth in a way that seems most favorable to you. I'm sure those execs were a little nervous knowing they'd have to present to shareholders after seeing that their stock since their last financial results call has only continued to plummet. Since late September, Activision Blizzard stock has been on a steady decline, and these 4 months of steady decline have effectively nullified 2 full years of positive stock growth. But hey, record revenue, right? And how can we continue to push the success of this record revenue? How can we transform this into positive stock growth again? How can we turn record revenue into record profit? Let's cut down on expenses, like salaries. You know, it's actually rather generous to lay off only 8% of your staff when executives like Bobby Kotick are raking in millions. Bobby Kotick, for example, in 2017, only made $4.5 million in cash and $24 million in stock. These execs could have laid off 20% of the staff and given each other bonuses. For example, the kind of bonus that the new CFO received a few weeks ago just for joining the company, the sign-on bonus of roughly $4 million in cash and roughly $11 million in stock. I mean, it makes absolutely zero sense for the executives of big successful companies to take any degree of pay cut when they need to tighten the belt in response to decisions made by them. I mean, there was that one little company that recently, when sales were down because they did not want to lay off any employees and because they wanted to be accountable for the decisions that they had made themselves, opted to take pay cuts on more than one occasion. We're talking about the president of the company taking a 50% pay cut and multiple members of the board of directors taking pay cuts ranging from 30 to 20% of their salaries. But I mean, who's ever heard of a little company called Nintendo anyway? Now, the new president of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, sent out a message to his employees on the Tuesday around 1 p.m. local time, stating, quote, "Over the last few years, many of our non-development teams expanded to support various needs. Currently, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion with our current release slate. This means we need to scale down some areas of our organization." And the layoffs across all three companies, King, Activision, and Blizzard, all seem to revolve around people in publishing, community management, similar types of roles. J. Allen Brack's letter further promised a comprehensive severance package, continued health benefits, career coaching, and job placement assistance for those being laid off. Now, depending on what Blizzard games you play, you might find that some of your beloved community managers are gone. I personally know and have met two of the wonderful community managers at Blizzard that were laid off. And even despite the severance packages and whatever other help Blizzard will be giving these people to find new jobs, this situation still sucks. Downsizing sucks. Now, the good news here is that there has been a lot of outreach from other developers. Knowing that there have been layoffs, a lot of people have been reaching out saying, hey, we're situated here. We have 16 job openings. Send in your applications. We'd be happy to take you. Now, this isn't the first time that Blizzard has had a massive round of layoffs. Back in 2012, just Blizzard actually laid off 600 employees. And it was a similar thing, that it wasn't developers, but it was more support staff, publishing, community management, customer support. And while, yes, it does make business sense that if you have positions that are no longer needed, if you had a period of rapid growth, the game releases, it's a big success, and then you sort of have a quiet period for a while, you have more positions, more jobs than you need. We see this cycle repeat time and again. Back in 2012, of the employees that were let go, many of them got jobs at Blizzard again. And the ones that got back positions in the same domain tended to be at lower salaries. And as for those who got jobs in other domains within Blizzard, why not have a program that helps your employees move to positions where they're better needed rather than just laying them off and then rehiring in other positions? In fact, it seems pretty common for layoffs to happen after or around the time of the Q4 reports. Sure, maybe not anything along the same scale of the 2012 or now the 2019 layoffs, but you would imagine a massive company like Activision Blizzard would be able to better plan when it needs people. Maybe it doesn't need these people right this moment, but in a few months they're going to be hiring more people for these same positions. We saw a scathingly sarcastic article posted on Fanbyte by a former World of Warcraft game master named Jordan Mallory. He addresses this open letter to the Activision Blizzard execs, starting off saying, "As a former Activision Blizzard employee, allow me to congratulate you all on posting a record $7.5 billion net revenue for the calendar year 2018, and on upending the lives of some 800 human beings that helped make that incredible feat possible." He expressed that he was at Blizzard during the Activision Vivendi merger in 2008, and, quote, "While many of us were concerned about Activision's potential influence on Blizzard's sacred creative freedom, many fears were assuaged by management's generous gift of a free copy of Guitar Hero Aerosmith for the Wii." He later says, quote, "Even when 600 of my former coworkers and friends were laid off in 2012, many of them were hired back on as temps and were allowed to continue doing their jobs at a lower wage and without benefits. It's shrewd business decisions like these, which embraced Blizzard's core values of play nice, play fair, and lead responsibly, that enabled today's record earnings, a 9% dividend increase for shareholders, and catastrophic layoffs. He later goes on to say, "Today's record proceeds and layoffs are a badge on the lapel of everyone in senior corporate management. I'm sure you all worked tirelessly to ensure that the immeasurable chain reaction of human suffering caused by today's events is only as big as was necessary to meet a completely arbitrary profit goal. Again, congratulations on your monumental achievement and the hugely successful blood sacrifice that enabled it." I encourage you folks to read the full article yourself, link in the video description. We've seen reactions from other people as well, people such as Blizzard alum Chris Metzen. Metzen was one of the most important people at Blizzard up until his retirement 2 years ago. He tweeted, "To those of you who lost your jobs today, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine your heartache today. But as a member of this wonderful community, I want to thank you for your contribution, dedication to, and passion for the worlds we love and share." And to the rest of us, he said, "While I don't represent Blizzard anymore, I want to say that despite how hard this week was, the folks still there are some of the most dedicated and passionate developers in the world. They give their all daily for you guys. Yes, the business end of things can be tough sometimes, but that's every company. Blizzard's not done, or over, or on fire. Rough patch maybe, but the people there are brilliant and working hard every day. Support them, encourage them where you can." It's funny, as a child I looked up to Metzen because of his artwork in the StarCraft and Warcraft 2 game manuals, and because I had some understanding that he was somehow involved in a major way in the creative process of these games. But I literally knew nothing else about the guy. And you know how sometimes you idolize a person, but then the more you get to actually learn about them, the more you realize they're a crappy person? Yeah, the more I've learned about Chris Metzen over the years, the more my respect for him has grown. I think what Metzen's expressing here in nicer ways is that a lot of the things that make us, the community, upset are things that are out of the hands of the developers. They're more corporate level decisions. And that doesn't take away from the fact that there are lots of passionate, hardworking, and talented developers that just want to make great games that we're going to love. And legendary voice actress Jennifer Hale actually puts it in a little harsher terms. Jennifer Hale voices Ashe in Overwatch, but she's a highly prolific voice actress in the video game industry. She did FemShep, is probably the role you'd know her most as. And she's put out several tweets speaking out against what happened. Quote, "This is so disgusting. This is corporate cutthroatery." She points out that the average CEO's salary was 30 times the average employee's salary in the late 80s, whereas today, it's on average 500 times an average employee's salary. Quote, "I'm calling for an end to heartless dividend hogging and completely out of balance financial structures. What's in place is unsustainable and damaging. The system is broken." And she further adds, "Blizzard is amazing and it's a privilege to work with them. They care about their community so much you can't even imagine. My hunch is it's the corporate decision makers at Activision who I suspect bear the responsibility for this ridiculous decision." It's a bold move by Jennifer Hale, someone who works in this industry, whose job can be impacted, to speak out so clearly against Activision. That said, she's so prolific that even if she were to burn her bridges with Activision, I don't think it would hurt her career very much, but it's still a risk. Now, layoffs aside, we learned other information, including the fact that Blizzard Entertainment has no, quote, frontline release planned for the 2019 fiscal year. And this shouldn't be a surprise to us. Blizzard has not announced yet any major games upcoming, and they don't announce and release a game within the same year. This does not mean that they will not be revealing any new frontline releases this year, such as at BlizzCon. And it also lets us know that they consider Diablo Immortal to not be a frontline release, as well as World of Warcraft Classic and Warcraft 3 Reforged. So what does this mean for the future of Diablo? Well, I think it's becoming increasingly likely that 2019 will see the reveal of Diablo 4 or some other major frontline Diablo release. And part of this is because of what was announced during the call. The execs expressed that they were cutting staff in order to hire more developers. They want to make more games because in their minds, pumping out more games means making more money. And they specifically highlighted Diablo as a franchise for which they are bringing on staff to release more titles. Quote, "And Diablo's development headcount will grow substantially as the teams work on several projects underway for the franchise, as well as the global launch of Diablo Immortal. Note the as well as, not including Diablo Immortal. That means there's Diablo Immortal as its own thing, and then additionally, there are several Diablo projects underway. From the leak that we had in December, we know that one of those is Diablo 4, but what could the other projects be? There are currently around 140 job openings at Blizzard, and over a dozen of those are Diablo job postings. It was back in December that I stopped updating you folks weekly on Diablo job postings, and that's because the main reason for talking about the job postings was to talk about and prove that there were new projects coming up that were not related to Diablo 3. I wanted to prove, hey, these jobs are not for Diablo 3, therefore there is something else Diablo in the works. But now it's obvious that there are multiple projects coming. Now, I've heard some whispers from various sources that suggest that Blizzard is, at the very least, actively looking into remastering Diablo 2. Note that is not the same as saying that Blizzard is going to remaster Diablo 2, but I am positive that at the very least, they have been taking active efforts into figuring out how that could be done. But what other Diablo projects could lie on the horizon? Are we going to have some kind of standalone PvP Diablo game? Are we going to have some kind of, God forbid, Battle Royale Diablo game? Are we just going to get a lot more Diablo mobile titles? Time will tell. And that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider becoming a Royal Raider on Patreon, where your support is immensely appreciated. We've got a variety of backer rewards, including behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.